So how have things been? I feel like we haven't talked in like, I know we did a show last week, but it feels like we haven't talked in longer.
I know it's been good. Just
Good.
working. I had to work Saturday because had to take
I did too.
Wednesday off because of colonoscopy. So that was fun.
Uh,
So I had to
by the way,
make
how does your colon feel after getting oscopied?
like normal. The cleaning out process was the worst part.
Yeah, when you sent that picture and you're like, "Oh, this is my dinner," and I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, ugh,
My dinner
ugh."
consisted of 3 blue zero sugar Powerades and a whole thing of Miralax. That's what I had for dinner Tuesday evening.
Ugh." That just it doesn't sound fun.
Mm-mm.
I'll
Well, you're
I'll
what?
say that.
You're 40 now, right?
I'm getting close. I just turned 38.
Okay, 38. So yeah, you still got a good 8 years or so before you got to worry about it. So
Uh,
unless you got
we'll
the
have to.
family history, that type of stuff. But
I may. I have no idea.
anybody
I might.
watching this stream, take care of yourself, kids, because
Yeah,
when you get
exactly.
older, like you got to worry about all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm already feeling that kind of stuff now.
And I've lost my eyesight. I'm 47 now, and when I was 45, I just started losing my eyesight. Like I can't see shit now.
And you should be lucky that you had it for that long. I've
Yeah.
had to wear these since I was 10.
Wow. Yeah, I've
And my,
always
my eyesight went quick.
always had good eyesight, and then all of a sudden it was literally like overnight. Like all of a sudden I just couldn't see anymore. I'm like, what is happening to me?
I still remember I was a kid. I was sitting at the dinner table with my parents watching TV. I looked down at my plate and then looked back up, and I couldn't see the TV as good.
That sucks.
I inherited all the bad stuff
Yeah.
from my families. I get kidney stones.
Oof, me
I have
too.
high blood pressure.
Ugh.
I have bad eyesight. I'm going deaf.
Well, welcome to two old men on Nerd Cave Retro, everybody.
Presented to you by Pepperidge Farms.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
Well, I got all my tabs open and everything's good to go if we're ready to get the shindig started.
Yep, I'm all set.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and we're back for another episode of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
And for the YouTube listeners or watchers, we had a little pre-show old man ranting going on before the show tonight. Getting old sucks, man, don't it?
It's good to vent about it, though. Because I've had that stuff in the back of my mind for a while. So go check out the YouTube version, and you'll get a nice little pre-show banter.
Yeah, so, last week I had to have the old colonoscopy last week. And so, first one, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything comes out good. I should hear back in about a week or so, my test results. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully everything's good. I hope.
Hopefully so. I was going to ask you about how long does it take to get the results. So I'll keep my fingers crossed that you hear good news.
Yeah, I am keeping my fingers crossed, and just gonna take care of myself from now on. I'm at that age where got to start doing all these tests and taking cholesterol medication and all kind of stuff. So enjoy your youth, kids. Enjoy your youth, because one day you don't have it anymore, and you got to start doing old man stuff.
Yeah, what's funny is whenever we started doing this show, I was at the twilight of my 20s. And now here we are, and I'm in the twilight of my 30s. So
Yep.
I'm looking forward to all that kind of stuff.
Yep. And then once you hit 40, that's where everything starts to go downhill.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So, how was your week?
Not too bad. Worked football on Friday. I had to work a little bit on Saturday, just through the morning, so it wasn't too bad. And then my mother-in-law's birthday was last week, so we had a get together for her birthday on Sunday with Samantha's family, and that was really about it. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Fire Red, and I'm actually going to be reviewing that on next week's show. I I haven't played those games in a while, and I was like, you know what? I haven't played a Pokemon game in forever,
Yeah.
and it sucked me right in. So
I
you need to
didn't
hear more about it next week.
I didn't put it in the news, but did you hear that Nintendo is bringing a suit against Pal World for Pokemon?
I mean, we all knew that was
Yeah,
coming.
we knew it was coming. I can't believe it took this long.
I guess Nintendo was just like, we'll let it fester
Yeah.
for a little
We'll,
bit, and then
we'll see if it's
when
popular or not.
and then when they think they're in the clear, just bam. But what about you?
Well, we got to come up with our top 5 list for October. So if you guys have any top 5 lists, let us know in the Discord. We have the top 5 submissions tab in there. But I've been doing playing a lot of that what's the name of it? Bolt Gun. Warhammer Bolt Gun, and I think that's probably going to be my next review. I know it's a new game, but we don't always do retro stuff. We do newer games occasionally, and I think that's going to be one of the newer ones that I review here really soon.
One of them new fancy games.
Yeah, I love it though. If you haven't tried it yet, please go try it. It's so good.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. Like I've been looking online from what you've been saying, nothing but good things. So I think I may have to give this a shot
Yeah, because
if I can put Pokemon down.
Because I know our Bethany Fox, our Discord manager, is really into Warhammer and has tried to get me into it in the past, but I just kind of never know where to start because there's a lot of it. I mean, it's the same thing with Dragon Ball Z. Everybody in the Discord's telling me where to start with Dragon Ball. I'm just kind of like, there's just so much of it. Like, well, it's kind of daunting. But kind of dipping my toes in a little bit in the Warhammer universe, and I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah, well, one of these days I'll dive in. One day.
Yeah, one day. But oh no, Chuck in the chat room says no Space Marine 2. No, I haven't tried it yet. I know it just dropped. 2 weeks ago, Space Marine 2 came out. I did play a little bit of that original Space Marine on on the 360, and I did enjoy it, but I never owned it. It was just I think I had rented it from GameFly a couple of times back then. Remember GameFly?
That's a name I've not heard in a long time.
I miss GameFly. I loved GameFly.
Dude, back when I was doing the Nerd Cave show, we talked about GameFly all the time.
Yeah.
In those early days. Yeah, GameFly was pretty... I never used it, but I know a lot of people that did.
Yeah, I used it. So kids, if you don't know what GameFly is, it's basically... I don't even know if they know. Kids now know that Netflix did DVDs through the mail. It was games through the mail. You subscribed and picked out what games you wanted, and they sent them to you in the mail. Played them, beat them, then you sent it back. That simple.
The good old days.
The good old days. But yeah, those days are gone, sadly.
Yeah. Now we just have the convenience of digital, but there's still that need for physical, but that's we won't get into that discussion. That could be its own show.
Yeah. But we do have a bit of news to get through this evening. You ready to jump into it?
Yes, sir.
And some of today's stories were brought to us by Mr. Armez Jackson. If you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And the first story comes from NintendoLife.com. Nintendo expands the Switch Online's SNES library with 4 more titles. Let's see. The first game is the NES beat 'em up Battletoads Double Dragon. I reviewed that a few years ago, didn't I? I think I didn't like it very much.
I think so.
Pretty sure I did.
While you read this, I'll look in the archive.
And 3 Super Famicom titles include the racing game Big Run and the action puzzle title Cosmo Gang the Puzzle, better known in the West as Pack Attack, and Kunio-kun Dodgeball game from 1993. So 3 Famicom games and a Super Nintendo title for this drop on the Switch.
So I actually reviewed Battletoads and Double Dragon.
Oh, okay.
It was volume 91, released July 2nd, 2018.
Wow. That was a while ago.
I did not care for this game because I couldn't get past like the second level.
Yeah,
as is typical with your Battletoads games.
I think I tried to play it with you, and I don't think I could get past the first level on it.
It's insane.
It's way
like
too
all the
hard.
Battletoads games that I played are insane.
I mean, Double Dragon itself is hard. Battletoads is even harder, and then you combine them together and just make one unwinnable game is what happens.
They're together to attack the trolls.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not familiar with the Super Famicom titles. I mean, with a name like Big Run, it kind of makes me interested in playing it.
Yeah.
I mean, the other ones look kind of cool too. There's a trailer you can watch that's attached to the article, but I would say for Battletoads and Double Dragon, unless you like punishing yourself, I wouldn't play it.
Yeah. I mean, you could try it, but yeah, you're probably not going to like it.
I'm curious about the other ones, though. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
This was kind of cool. This is also from NintendoLife.com. Sega celebrates Batman Day with Shadow the Hedgehog. The Dark Knight Batman celebrated his 85th birthday, and in an interesting little crossover, Sega has teamed up to commemorate his origin. It's not clear if this could lead to more, but the DC Comics description of this same video calls it a partnership. This short video is also a bit of promotion for the upcoming release Sonic and Shadow Generations, which will arrive on the Switch and many other platforms next month in October. So basically, it's a little teaser with I'll go ahead and say it. It's Shadow dressed up as Batman.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It's like a short, like maybe it's a minute long, but you could tell they're really going hard with promoting Shadow and everything.
Yeah, they really want this next movie to do well too. So I think that's why.
You've got this, then you've got Sonic and Shadow Generations for October. November we'll probably get another trailer, and then December is when the movie comes out. So I think it's kind of cool. Do I think it'll lead to more? If I had to guess, probably not.
Yeah.
As Sonic and Batman is not a combo that I would think to put together, but this was kind of cool. Go out of your way it's at Sonic_Hedgehog on Twitter, and you should check it out. It's actually a really cool little video.
I didn't know it was Batman's 85th birthday already.
Oh, that's nuts.
Looks great for 85.
Yeah, he does. And Michael Keaton is still the best live action Batman.
Shots fired, but yes, I agree.
Because I think you could say that Kevin Conroy is the best overall.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if anybody disagrees and says Kevin Conroy is not the best Batman, you need to just put that person out of your life, because you don't need that kind of negativity in your life.
Nope. No, there's enough of it in the world these days that you don't need more.
The next story is also from Nintendo Life. 8-Bit Do is now selling NES-style keycaps. Gaming peripheral company 8-Bit Do, or 8-Bit Do, however you pronounce it, has launched a new line of NES-inspired keycaps, which can be used on mechanical keyboards. These are apparently the same designs from its retro keyboard, which was released in 2023. They'll set you back $49.99. or your regional equivalent and come with 165 keys that are compatible with MX-style switches. You'll also get a keycap puller, and you'll also get dye sublimation PBT keycaps, MDA-like height, supports a bunch of different Alice layouts. I don't know what that means. What's an Alice layout?
I have no idea.
But yeah, if you want some NES keys, just head to 8-Bit Dough and pick some up for $50.
One of the comments on the article says, I misread this as NES-style kneecaps. Now I'm disappointed that I'll never get prosthetic gaming appendages.
That's awesome.
That's good.
I'm just now seeing that.
I'll be perfectly honest. I kind of want these. This is really cool. Like, because say my work computer, it's just a boring, like, black keyboard.
Yeah.
$50 is a little pricey, but with it coming with 165 keys, and it's pretty much custom for something like this, maybe if I can come across some extra money,
Yeah.
I might pull the trigger on this. They should just sell an actual keyboard.
Yeah, I don't know why
instead of
they
just
don't-
the keys.
Wouldn't it be cheaper just to do? I mean, you can go to Five Below and get a whole freaking keyboard for like $8. So why can't they just do this? Just make a keyboard.
By the way, if you want some good Halloween decor, we found these 3-foot skeletons for $5 each.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
At the
I'll send
at the
at
Five Below? Huh. I know where I'm going this week.
I'll send you the link.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want skeletons?
Yeah, and I mean we've got Halloween season right around the corner, so
Yeah, no
it's
kidding.
perfect. All right, let's see. From Kotaku.com, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is packed with secret characters. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is a monumental compilation of the original collaborative titles from these iconic companies. Although Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is the entry everyone's most wanted, we do get to see the magic from prior games in the series, and a majority of them feature secret characters, and we've got the details on how to find them all. Some of the characters are palette swaps with just a few differences from the character they're based on. Others can be entirely different fighters, such as bosses or even guest characters. And there's a pretty detailed description, and it's actually in the game how you can unlock these characters, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. But I would say if you do have this and you want to know how to unlock the characters, you just definitely just go to this article in Kotaku because it's pretty involved.
Yeah, it's got a pretty extensive list. And are you excited for this compilation? Because I loved Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Normally I would be, but honestly, Joey gave me the Dreamcast not too long ago, and I have all the Marvel versus Capcom that he gave me with it. So I don't really need to get this for Switch or anything. So I mean, I might eventually, but I'm not in any hurry.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, if you've still got the original copies, then I'd say there's no need to get it. But for those that don't, and you've been curious about these games, because they are really fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Definitely check them out.
Definitely great party games, too. Like, if you couch co-op type stuff, like, oh, this is just so good.
Everything from the graphics, the fighting animations, the music, they're great games.
Yeah. And if you have an original Dreamcast, plays like a dream on there.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Joey will like that. And this next story just got added a few minutes ago. Armez Jackson sent this one to the nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. This is from nintendolife.com. Atari 50 DLC adds 19 games and launches later this week. Atari and developer Digital Eclipse have announced that their first paid DLC expansion for Atari 50 will launch later this week on the 26th of September. What is today? Today is the 23rd, so that's what, Thursday of this week? Dubbed The Wider World of Atari. The DLC will contain 19 additional games alongside a wealth of documentary material. What we do know is that the new DLC will take a look at some hidden Atari gems from the 80s, including some unusual and underappreciated Atari innovations. It will also look at the creation of the Atari logo from designer Evelyn Cito and a glimpse into the birth of Breakout with interviews from Atari legend Al Alcorn. I need to get this. Like, I don't know why I haven't gotten this before now. I need this collection.
And the interesting thing is they're not releasing what the additional games are until Wednesday, which kind of adds a little bit of excitement to it.
It's a little mystery.
Yeah, I dig it. And of course, the documentary stuff, like I'm a nut for that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think this is worth getting already. But if you're on the fence about it, I think this will push some people to get it.
Yeah, I think this is what's going to push me over the edge to go ahead and just get it.
I love the steelbook design.
I know.
Like it's simple, but it's got the Atari logo with the number 50 beneath it. But there's just something about those simple, clean kind of logos that they just draw me in.
You know what it looks like to me, that steelbook, what it looks like? Remember Solid Gold back in the 80s?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It looks like solid gold.
Yeah. It does.
Go look that up, kids. But that's going to bring us to the end of the news, and now it is time for this month in video game history. This September 13th of 1985. Sorry, I lost my place. Super Mario Brothers is released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in Japan.
What's that?
I have no idea. What is this Mario Brothers they speak of?
The Super Mario Brothers?
Mario?
He ain't going to amount to nothing. To take a trip back in time and see when this game was released. It's like I say, I would love to go back to when the original Star Wars was released in 1977, because people would have no idea the history that they're about to see. Same thing with this game. We've talked about how the sequels are better, but this laid the foundation for not just the sequels, but for platforming game in general. Gaming would not be the same if not for the original Super Mario Brothers.
I still remember the first time ever playing Super Mario Brothers. It was down the street at my friend Joey's house, and he had gotten a Nintendo for his birthday. So we were hanging out at his house, and he was like, "Hey, come over. I got a Nintendo." So, I got on my little bike and hauled ass down to his house and started playing some Super Mario Brothers and was instantly hooked. That's where my addiction started, was right then.
For me, it was my aunt's house. It's where I also played the original Legend of Zelda for the first time. And if not for those two games, I wouldn't be sitting here on this podcast.
Same. Yeah, I think we played Super Mario Brothers and we played some Kid Nicky. And I think I reviewed Kid Nicky a few years ago, too.
I think you did too. That sounds familiar.
I think it was one of the earliest shows we did was Kid Nicky.
Let's see.
Because I think that was the first game I ever rented.
Let's see. Kid Nicky Radical Ninja?
Yeah.
That was reviewed December 5th, 2018.
Wow. We've been around a long time.
Volume 111.
Wow.
111.
We were already at 111 episodes in 2018.
Yeah, we started in July of 2016.
I think I just aged like I drank from the wrong from the wrong cup.
Yeah. You went to the anti-fountain of youth.
Yep.
September of 1989, Atari Games releases Stun Runner in arcades, which is a 3D polygonal vehicle combat/racing game.
Stun Runner. Do I remember this game? I don't think I do.
Reminds me of Tron.
Yeah, it's got like a weird Like I've never seen this actual arcade machine, but it looks kind of cool. Like I would
It
play it if I saw it.
Yeah, the machine does look cool, but like the graphics of the game, it reminds me of like
Yeah.
early CG, like
Hmm.
with there's no like texture to anything. You just see a bunch of polygons.
Yeah.
Reminds me of like if you go back and watch like some movies with CG effects that were done in like the 90s and
Yeah.
2000s, you watch them in HD and they just look really bad.
Yeah.
It's like that. Or it looks like the graphics of Tron, the
Yeah.
original one.
Yeah.
So
Let's see. September 9th of 1995, Sony releases the PlayStation in the United States.
almost 30 years ago.
I can't believe that thing came out in 95.
Did you see the 30th anniversary edition of the PS5?
I don't think I did.
It's
Oh,
basically a PS5, but it's in like the old gray
yeah.
color palette.
I heard about it, but I haven't seen a picture of it. 30th. Let me look it up real quick. Anniversary edition.
I also remember the first time I ever played a PlayStation. It was at my uncle's house. It was during it was at no, it was after Hurricane Aaron hit here, and I played Crash Bandicoot 2. Was the first game I ever played for the PlayStation.
First one I ever played was Resident Evil 2. Me and my buddy Josh were playing it, and he didn't have a save card, so we had to just literally just play the whole game in one sitting.
Playing it old school.
Yeah. Oh,
I
this
like
thing
it.
looks cool. I like the color scheme of it much better than there's the stark white that they've been doing for the PS5. I would rather have one of these.
I just wouldn't want like a. I know the original 360 was mostly white, but I feel like it just collects dust so easily.
Yeah.
It's just going to look dirty all the time. This is kind of cool. September 29th of 1999, Neversoft and Activision released Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the PS1, Game Boy Color, and Dreamcast. Incredible soundtrack
Hmm.
from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Like if you want something that personifies the 90s and even into the early 2000s, check out the soundtrack from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
I wonder if you could even make a game like that today with that type of soundtrack on it. It would cost too much money.
Yeah, there'd be so many legal hoops
Yeah.
that you'd have to jump through to secure the rights and everything. No.
I'm surprised
This
they could even do it for the remake. Like how did they get all the music rights again? Because that just sounds like a nightmare.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I like I didn't play these games religiously, but these were like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 were games that you had to at least try
Hmm.
because you'd hear friends at school or friends you'd hang out with talk about them all the time. And it's a great reflection of that time because the when Tony Hawk was in his prime, skateboarding was a huge thing.
Oh yeah, and I remember me and my roommate used to play Tony Hawk all the time, and I think it might have been Electronic Gaming Monthly that we got the code to have perfect balance instead of having to like balance yourself. And once you got the code for perfect balance, you could literally do like 1 billion points. Like you would just never fall ever.
It breaks the game,
Yeah,
essentially.
pretty much. It just like you just break it at that point. Let's see, September 8th of 2003, UK. How do you say that?
Ukes.
Ukes and THQ released WWE WrestleMania 19 for the GameCube in North America.
I remember playing this game, but I don't remember much of it because Day of Reckoning came out after this, and I remember it being a lot better. This was one that I'd have to go back and kind of revisit it because, like, I love the time frame that it came from. It was released in 2003. WWE was still kind of riding high on the waves of the Attitude Era a little bit. Rock was still around part-time. Steve Austin was still around. This was, shortly after he retired, but he was still very relevant. And the roster was just so good at the time. So I might have to look into this and review it for WrestleMania month whenever we do that coming up next year.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, September 15th of 2003, Rare and THQ release Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge for the Game Boy Advance in North America. People forget about this game, but there was technically a third Banjo-Kazooie game for the Game Boy Advance. I think it falls in, I think it's canon if you use the proper term. I have not played this game since it was originally released. One of these days, if I find a physical copy of it, then I'll get it and I'll do a review for it. But yeah, I remember it being fun. Like, it's different, obviously, because it's not fully 3D like an N64 game. But
yeah, I don't remember
still
this
pretty
at
fun.
all.
It kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
But that's going to bring us to the end of this month of video game history. So, Derek, before we go into the review, you want to do our Patreon shout-outs?
Real quick, Joey just arrived and said that he arrived so we can start now.
So yeah, we'll go ahead.
Welcome,
welcome to the Nerd Cave Retro Show, everybody.
Retro Show. As always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Mr. Wally Phelps, the fact checker of the show, Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. on our Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, John West, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B. Rez Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, Axeblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am the
Rampage,
Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mr. Joey Image, and of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions to keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. Y'all know what I'm going to say now. I might as well just pre-record myself saying this and have Jason play it at this part of the show. For as little as $1 a month, you get early access to our bonus episodes, which for the most part includes a commentary track for a live-action movie, an animated show. And this month, I'm excited for this because we're finally going to watch No Holds Barred.
I'm not excited for it.
I'm excited for the fun banter that we're going to have more so than watching the actual movie. Like, the worse the movie is, the better the commentary track is.
Yeah.
Because if the movie's good, we just kind of sit there and watch it.
Yeah, that's
we still have some fun banter, though. But yeah, also, you also get your own RSS feed with 0 ads, no interruption whatsoever on the podcast for as little as $1 a month. You can't beat that. So head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, be sure to send us your social media info, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight, I'm going to be talking about Bionic Commando, originally released as, get this, Hitler's Resurrection, top secret. I'm glad they changed it.
That's not an attention getter at all.
It is a platform game released by Capcom for the Famicom and NES in 1988. It is based on the 1987 arcade game Bionic Commando. As a lad, a member of the FF Battalion, the player explores each stage each stage and obtains the necessary equipment to progress. You are equipped with a mechanical arm featuring a grappling gun, allowing you to pull yourself forward or swing from the ceiling. As such, the series is one of a few instances of a platform game in which the player cannot jump to cross gaps or climb ledges. You must use your bionic arm. And that's kind of my biggest problem with the game. This is a game that, you know, I talk about Capcom a lot. Like, Capcom was basically like a seal of quality back around this time. Like, they always had games, even if the game was bad, it still looked good. You know, and they had a few misses here and there, you know, like Yo Noid. Like, that's a pretty bad game. But for the most part, most Capcom games were pretty good. And this is one of the ones that kind of just slipped by me back then. I never played this game before until this last week.
That's surprising because I know how big a fan you are of Capcom. And like you said, you see Capcom in the title, chances are it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Like almost, you don't have to even think about it. You're like, oh, Capcom, that's going to be good. I'll play it.
And I don't even think I rented this as a kid. Like, I have no memory of anybody I knew that had a Nintendo. I don't remember anybody having this game, so I had no knowledge of it. I mean, I used to see screenshots of it. They used to talk about it in Nintendo Power, and I've seen screenshots, so I know it was all about like the grappling hook and everything. And then, of course, they did the remake a couple of years ago. I think it was for the the PS. Was it 360 or was it the Xbox One that they did?
It was the Xbox 360 and PS3.
Yeah, and it was kind of a big deal. I remember they made a big deal about it. They had a whole spread in Game Informer about it at the time, and it looked pretty good, but it just kind of came and went without really any fanfare. So I don't know how well the game was received. But, you know, to go back and play this, and, you know, grappling hooks are a game mechanic that's very well done now. Because, you play games like Jedi Fallen Order. Use a grappling hook all the time in those games, and it's fun. But to go back to an 8-bit era, especially a platformer, and having to use a grappling hook as a game mechanic, it's very clunky and not easy to use.
Yeah, I get what they're trying to do, but when you look at the limitations of what you could do at the time, just because it sounds like a good idea doesn't mean that it is.
Because the whole time I'm playing this game, all I want to do is jump. That's all I want to do. I just want to jump. Just let me jump. But you can't. You have to grapple everywhere you need to go, and you have to be, you have to be able to, like there are parts where you have to be perfect where you're shooting the grappling hook, because if you miss, you're just gonna die because you're just gonna fall into a bottomless pit, and that's I don't like that. That's not fun.
To me, that kind of puts a limitation on the platforming aspect of it, even though you said it's a platform game.
Yeah.
To me, that means that you're able to freely move from platform to platform. Like, I get the gimmick, but if you can't jump, that to me takes away the platforming aspect of it.
Yeah. And I even said in my notes, like, I don't think this is a bad game. And I know there's a lot of people out there that love this game. There's a huge speedrunning community for this game and everything. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but it's definitely the kind of game I think maybe if I had more nostalgia for it, or if I had played it, as a kid and kind of had an idea of it, or at least some nostalgia for it, it would have gone down a lot easier. It's sort of like playing it is sort of like taking medicine. Like, I didn't really have any fun playing it. Like, it was just kind of like, I have to play this because I'm reviewing it. But after a few minutes, it was just kind of like, it looks nice, it sounds nice, but I'm just not having fun.
So it's like grape medicine.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when they used to give you medicine that it was almost like Pepto Bismol, but it still had that alcohol flavor to it.
Oh
It was
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I remember I would have to hold my nose in
Yeah,
order to take something like that. Something that's interesting too, it says here in the game's instruction manual, the character is only known as player. In the game's
yeah,
ending, his name is revealed as Lad. The Game Boy version, which is a retelling of this game, calls the character Rad.
yeah,
In the Game Boy Color remake, the main character is unnamed. But in the remake or the 2009 version of the game for 360, his full name of Nathan Rad Spencer was revealed. I feel like they're missing out on a multiversal opportunity here to
yeah.
get, like, say they're all different versions of the same character, but they just go by different
Yeah.
names.
And I feel like maybe 2009 was still a little too early to remake this game. I think with the grappling hook mechanics that we can do now in this era of video games, this was a perfect game for a remake now. Like, you could get away with this game now and have the grappling hook be an awesome game mechanic. I just feel like this game is just way, way too ahead of its time.
I think so too. I think even maybe if they made this for like the Super Nintendo,
Hmm.
maybe they could have done a little bit more with it. Definitely maybe like an N64 game.
Yeah, because I feel
And
like if you had the freedom of the grappling hook like you do with the whip in Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo, I think if you had that kind of freedom with it, it would be much better. But it's so stiff in the original NES version. It's just not fun to use.
in looking at this game, I watched a little bit of gameplay of it and I've looked at some screen caps. Look wise, you know what it kind of reminds me of?
Hmm.
Zelda 2.
It does kind of, yeah.
Not saying it's the same, like I
It's that
dislike the
same,
game,
yeah.
especially
It's that
because I've never
same,
played it, but it has the same look and style of graphics.
yeah. It's that same color palette too. I think same color
Yeah.
palette, same kind of buildings, like the way the buildings look and things like that. So I get that. Yeah, I see that now.
Yeah, Joey actually says in the chat, he says, I believe I still have my copy of this. And he's one of the people you mentioned earlier. He said he loves this game.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of people that love this game. There's, like I said, there's a huge speedrunning community for this game, but it's just so. I don't have the patience to get used to how to play the game. If I was a kid and I had all summer to play this game, my birthday always landed at the end of May. So I would get a game as a kid and then have all summer to play it and master it. 3 solid months of nothing else to do as a kid but play Nintendo all summer. I don't have that now. I'm an adult with a job and TV shows to watch, so I don't get to play these games like I used to.
And that brings up an interesting point. You said you might have felt different about this game if you had played it when you were younger. I think we need to start adding like nostalgia points
Yeah.
to some of our reviews because, like, I loved Link to the Past. Obviously, I'm going to rate that pretty high.
Yeah.
Would still probably rate it high if I played it today, but it wouldn't be as high because you have to add in that nostalgia factor.
I think we should say that our nostalgia for something, if we have positive nostalgia for something, then that probably adds at least 2 points to something.
Yeah, we're obviously going to be a little more swayed, and it's not just us. Like anybody who's talking about a game like this, if you played it when you were younger, you're going to love it.
Yeah. Especially if you're used to how the game plays, but when you play, you grow up playing platform games and you're expecting stuff like Mega Man or Super Mario, there's a certain way that games play. You jump. In some games, you even get a double jump. But when you have a game where there's no jump and you got to grapple, it's just kind of, this is slow and plotting. And then another part I didn't like about it, because I kept dying a lot because I couldn't swing where I needed to swing and get where I needed to go, and would just fall into bottomless pits. I hate unskippable written dialogue, especially when it's slowly written out word by word. I hate it so much.
And you can't change the speed of it.
No. And it's unskippable. Like, you have to do these certain things in the level, where there's these parts in the level where you go, you kind of you go in these little buildings, and there'll be a computer in there, and you get two choices. You either communicate with your people who tell you what you need to do, and then you can get out of it and go back in, and then you listen in, like you hack it, and you listen into the other side, and you kind of get hints and tips of what's coming up and what you needed to do, things you need to find, things of that nature. It's unskippable. You have to do those things in order to progress through the level. So when you're dying 50 freaking times and you have to go through the same little bits of dialogue over and over and over again, it's like, it's frustrating, and I don't want to do it.
See, like, I wouldn't want to play it for that reason. Like, you should at least have the option, like, if you die and you get back to that part again, you should be able to skip it.
Just skip it. Just let me skip it. That's all I want to do.
Especially like the slow written dialogue. Like, at least if you had the option, like, I know in some games that has that option, you can say, like, oh, I want the text to move fast, or I want it to move slow. But if you don't even have that,
and it's got like that sound effect of a typewriter. So when it's going on the screen, it's like, and you're just like, oh my God, I have to hear this one more time.
So you just grab something and just start bashing your head over and over, like, please make it stop.
And it's like, I know there's nothing I can do to skip it, but I'm still frantically, like, hitting buttons, just trying to get past it.
Yeah, something, though, that I will say seems cool about the game is I was reading, like, the story of it, like, or the plot, and it seems like it's got a pretty in-depth story for an NES game.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that I did like about the game. It's very narrative-driven. You know, there's different, like, you have to, like I said, there's the unskippable dialogue stuff, so it's sort of like an NES version of, like, a Metal Gear Solid game. That it's kind of like, I would expect this to be Metal Gear Solid instead of, like, the original Metal Gear games, which I have never played, but I know people don't like them all that much. But, you know, with that kind of narrative and that kind of story that keeps you engaged and wanting to keep going, and that's kind of what this game does. I would love to have been able to play the whole game and get the whole story. But that's why I said this game should absolutely be remade with, you know, the Unreal 5 engine or whatever they're using now, and redo this game with the same plot, all that stuff, you know, just bring it into the modern age. I think now was the time for this game.
And the first thing they do is make the dialogue skippable.
Yes, skippable dialogue.
Yeah, and that's why I agree with you, and that I think that now would be a good time, because a lot of games now I feel like they're more narrative driven than games from back in the day. So I think this will be perfect. I mean, I would still keep the setting. It says here it takes place sometime in the late 1980s and centers on two warring states, the Federation and the Empire. Sounds a little Star Trek-ish, but I dig it. Federation forces discover top-secret documents about Albatross, an unfinished project developed by the Empire's predecessor, the Bads, also known as the Naz or Nazis in the Japanese version. So it sounds like a pretty solid espionage type film.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. it's very Metal Gear Solid type of, that type of game. So I think you could do that with this game. And I was looking at some of the stuff here, and what I didn't know about this game was a lot of the Nazi stuff was in the original Japanese version, but then it was changed in the English version. The Nazis are referred to as bads, although the manual refers to them as the Naz. And the swastika was changed into a new one resembling an eagle, and the leader of the villains, originally called Wiseman in the Japanese version, was named Kilt, although the soldiers and characters keep their Nazi-like appearance. And the difficulty of the game was rebalanced, and some of the areas were made less difficult. If they made the game less difficult for the English version, I don't ever want to play the Japanese version, ever.
It's like Mario the Lost Levels.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Mario Brothers 2 in Japan.
Like, Americans are going to hate this. Let's do something else.
I'm sorry, but Hilt is not exactly a menacing villain name.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, but it doesn't inspire fear.
The music for the game was created by Junko Tamiya, who was credited under the pseudonym Gondaman.
Say that real slow.
Yeah, real slow.
I did like the track you played at the beginning of the review. Like it's pretty catchy. I kind of dig it.
Well, I mean, it's a Capcom game. The music's good.
Yeah.
Music, game looks great, sounds great. I mean, I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not saying it's a bad game at all. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying it's just not for me. And I don't want to offend anybody that loves this game, because I know it's a good game. It's just, no, not for me. No thanks.
And I think it really goes back to the nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
Like I won't say it clouds our judgment or makes us look at stuff through rose-colored glasses, even though sometimes it can. But a lot of these games that came out around that time, and it's happened to both of us. If we didn't play it growing up, we're not going to like it as much as somebody that did play it growing up. That's not to say it's a bad game.
Yeah, I mean, in 2000, it says here, in 2003, the NES version of Bionic Commando was inducted into GameSpot's list of the greatest games of all time. In 2008, Nintendo Power ranked it as the 17th best NES video game, describing it as one of the console's most original action games due to the ability to swing.
I'm curious as to what's ranked 18th and
I don't
below.
know. We'll have to look at that list. And Games Radar ranked it the 4th best NES game ever made. So there's always been love for this game. I don't have the nostalgia for it to really give it any kind of chance, because I don't like the way it plays. I like to jump. When I play a platformer, I want to jump. That's what it boils down to.
OneUp.com gave the game an A+, which is nuts.
Yeah.
And Famitsu gave it a 26 out of 40.
So
I think regardless, the 4th best NES game ever, that seems a little high.
Yeah.
Because you got to throw in Super Mario Brothers 3, Legend of Zelda, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Mega Man 2.
Mega Man 2.
I mean,
I think I'd put all 4 of those above this one.
Yeah, I mean, you got Metroid. You've got...
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of other games out there I would put way higher than this game. I mean, even Strider, which is another Capcom game, and I mean, that game's pretty hard, but, I like Strider so much better than I like Bionic Commando. But that's just me.
So what would you give this game as far as number scores go?
I mean, I'm going to give it a 6. I know it's a good game, and I know it's my flaws with the review I gave for it. and I know it's a good game. I know people out there love it. It's not something I'm ever gonna play again.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, 6 is not a bad score.
Yeah, and I don't want to give it a bad score because I don't think it's a bad game. I just think it's a game mechanic that I don't enjoy.
And that's fair.
Yeah. So 6. It gets a 6.
Yeah. 6 is not a bad score.
But that's going to bring us to the end of that review for Bionic Commando. So, Derek, what are you doing next week?
As I mentioned at the top of the show, I have been playing a lot of Pokemon Fire Red. And Leaf Green is essentially the same game, just you can catch different Pokemon. So I'm going to be reviewing Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on next week's show.
Awesome.
The game is just over 20 years old, so
wow.
it's right in the realm of retro. So I made sure to check the release date. It came out in January of 2004.
Doesn't it make you feel weird that we can do games from 2004 now?
And in a couple of months, we can do them from 2005.
And when we started this show, it was 1996. Was 20 years before we started.
Yeah. And what do you know? We're bookending the episode by complaining about how we're getting old.
Old men. That's what we are, old men.
Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the episode.
And like I said, if you got some top 5, ideas, hit us up in the Discord, please. I don't know what let's do something horror related. And it doesn't even have to be video game stuff. We could just do top 5, I don't know, best made-for-TV horror movies or something like that. I don't know.
Top 5 moments from Wishman.
Yeah. You'll have to be a patron.
No. Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't have to do this. I'll throw this out there. What if we did top 5 horror movie moments?
I like that.
I'll just throw it out there. I do want to hear what the listeners want to come up with too.
I like that. Our top 5 favorite horror movie moments.
Because like I know I've done characters and movies on my show. I think moments is a little more challenging because then you got to think of not just movies but specific things that happen.
Yeah. I like that a lot. So let us know what y'all think. If that's what we're going to do for October, top 5 favorite horror movie moments, I'm for it.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. But before we get out of here, Derek, what's going on with Real Wisdom?
I believe it was episode 8 that I released this past Thursday. I talked with filmmaker Evan Zeisel, who's based out of New York City. He runs a company called Copyright Slap that deals with protection against online piracy for content creators. Really insightful conversation. Like, it's not just for filmmakers, but it could be people that like create a video game or create like a show or something that they've created, you know, that's an original product.
I think that one's going to be a really good one to get some info with.
Yeah. And you could tell he's really passionate about it because he gets pretty fired up towards the end of the episode when we like really get into the discussion. So you can check that out at linktree.com/realwisdompod. That's REEL Wisdom Pod. You can also follow me on social media there, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also want to thank, you know, I've gotten a pretty big influx of new subscribers as well as new people that are listening to the show. So appreciate it. And yeah, go check it out.
Also, I want to give a huge shout out to I Am the Rampage, who got us some new stickers. Oh, let me.
Yeah.
Is that upside down?
There we go.
Some new stickers. And if you need some stickers made, go to linktree.com/edigitaldesigns and tell them that Nerd Cave Retro sent you. And he'll hook you up with some stickers or whatever you need over there. And I won't do it this week, but I'll do a little contest or something next week where I'm going to send out some free stickers to everybody.
I don't know if you tell him that Nerd Cave Retro sent you, he might double the price on you.
Yeah, he'll double the price on you. And But he also did some stickers for the Open Micers podcast, too, which you can go listen to at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram and Threads, openmicers.com. The other night, last week, we released, we actually did an episode the night of my colonoscopy. So if you want to hear me all discombobulated and brain fog talking about my colonoscopy adventure last week, and Jacob weirdly wanting my colonoscopy pictures. I don't know why.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he wants to make a poster and put in his house. I'm like, why would you do that? That's not cool.
Because he's Jacob.
Yeah, he's Jacob. Go check it out at Open Micers, Twitter, Instagram, Thread. So I think that's it for this week. Is that everything?
I think so.
All right, well, let me turn this music up here, and we'll walk out the door. If you want to email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Nerdcaveretro.com is our link tree, and that takes you everywhere you need to go. All of our socials, our Patreon, and our merch shop. If you want to just go straight there, it's ncrmerch.com. We got t-shirts, hats, stickers, magnets, bags, mugs, whatever your nerdy heart desires. Also, if you don't have any money, you can't be a patron, you don't have any money to go get a shirt or anything, I understand. The best thing you can do is leave us a review and or a 5-star rating on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to. So go do that. Go give us a rating. We love you for it. Thank you. And that's about it. So Derek, tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yeah.
Paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
And that's... And that's an episode.
Whew.
Yes, IR Monkey, colonoscopy is top-level content.
Grade A content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was fun. That was a good episode.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
But like I said, I'm probably never going to play that game again. Even though I have a copy of it, I'll probably never play it.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about doing this show is that we have games that, can be well regarded, and then we play them and we're like, it was all right.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for hanging out with us this week, and we will be back next Monday, and Derek's going to be doing Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. So thank you for watching. We'll see you guys.